and had an interview. And then we found out that day that the world was about to shut down. I take any if the opportunity presents itself, I'm obviously going to listen.
Welcome to the Real Appreciation Podcast. I am David Clair-Bennett, and today I am absolutely thrilled to be sitting here with my friend, who you may know best as the inaugural Tough Enough winner, a former three-time hardcore champion, former WWE Superstar, and what has to be the best wrestler turned YouTuber out there. Please, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the show, Maven.
David, thank you so much for that introduction. It's taken a while for us to get together, but I'm so happy, proud of your success, proud of what you're doing, proud of the awareness you're bringing. Yeah, like I said, I'm solo today, so if my dogs are jumping all over me, just forgive me.
Hey, it's all good, man. I appreciate you so much. But brother, you've been absolutely freaking killing it on YouTube. Seriously, man, congrats on all of your success.
What we're doing is just showing that there's other ways to present wrestling content. That's it. Like my partner, when he contacted me, he said, I do things a little bit different. Most wrestlers make wrestling videos and put them on YouTube. He's like, I want to make YouTube videos about wrestling. And that's basically what we're doing. We don't do an hour podcast. I'm not sitting down with a different guest every week after week. We're trying to do something that's just a little bit different. Like the last video that just came out, I gave my wrestling Mount Rushmore, and we went to Mount Rushmore. And it's funny because it's like a 9 or 10 minute video. We were there for 7 hours, 7 hours,
Wow.
but that's the end result. And we're having a lot of fun. It's weird. I didn't realize the knowledge that I had about the wrestling business until the last year, until we've been able to have the channel. And it's also been great reconnecting with a lot of the guys, a lot of former friends that just with the passage of time I've lost touch with.
Oh man, I'm gonna sound like a huge mark here, but I'm pretty sure I've seen every single episode of yours, so congrats.
Brother, no, watch them again. Watch them twice. I tell people, watch them two or three. I got in trouble once. I was trying to highlight a video coming up, and on because I use my Instagram channel is basically just to drive people to the YouTube channel. I mean, I don't make $1 off Instagram, so I'm just trying to push people to YouTube. And on one of my things, just a quick little 30-second, hey, this is the video coming up this week. I said, this is the video coming up this week. Watch it. And hell, while you're there, watch the ads too. And I kind of winked, and my partner was like, yeah, you that's a gray area. He's like, we can't be telling people to do. And I was like, I didn't know. If somebody gets mad at that, then but I won't do it again. So,
Well, first and foremost, I have to talk to you about what I would consider to be one of your most iconic moments in your entire career. And I'm sure you get tired of talking about this, but Maven, man, I gotta ask. Back in 2005, you and other WWE superstars participated in a game of dodgeball on MTV's The 70s House. Talk to me about your experience on the canceled MTV series.
good swerve. Didn't think that's where you were going with that.
Where did you think I was going?
Oh, who knew? I don't know.
Huh.
That was one of the most fun days I had while I was in the WWE. It was one of those things that we would always get asked to do stuff. And I think one of the reasons The Miz has become the ultra mega star he is because he does everything. He told him from day one. If you have a radio interview, a TV spot, a media day that needs to be done, I'm your guy. I will do it. And if I had my career to do over again, I would copy exactly what he did because it's genius.
Yes.
And but it was one of those days where they, like a week or so ahead of time, they asked a bunch of guys, hey, they're filming a show, that 70s house, and guys didn't want to do it because it was on an off day. And they flew us from, I forget what town we were in, but they flew us to California, out to LA, put us up, and we'd have to be there, and we would end up missing 2 days at home. So instead of flying home on a Tuesday, we would fly home fly to LA on that Tuesday. The Wednesday we would film the game of dodgeball, and then home on Thursday, and then back out on Friday. So nobody wanted to do it. But once we got there, it was just a blast. It was a free trip to LA, and I felt so sorry for those kids. I've watched it back a couple times since then. Like, we destroyed them, and there was no and like they edited it, and we played a couple games. They never got one of us out. Like, none of us. They didn't get one of us five. I think it was me, Jindrak, Booker, Charlie Haas, and who was the and
Hardcore
Bob
Holly.
Holly.
Yep.
And Bob Holly, yeah. And they didn't get one of us out at all in any of the games. We killed them, and we come across looking like brutes, but that's kind of what it was. And I got to correct you from earlier when you said you sound like a mark. We're all marks, brother.
Yeah.
If you I learned this early on. If you love this business, I don't care if you're in it or just a fan, you're a mark. I'm the biggest mark there is. So I'm right there with you, bro.
Hey, video idea for you. Part 2, dodgeball. Let's do it.
I would love it. Not as athletic as I once was, and my body hurts a little bit more now, but I'd still try.
Let's talk about one of the actual more memorable moments in WWE history when you shocked the world by eliminating The Undertaker at the 2002 Royal Rumble. Fans still talk about it to this day. I'm sure you're annoyed sometimes of bringing it up constantly, but what was running through your mind in the ring, and what did that moment mean for your career, both personally as well as professionally?
You know what? I don't get tired of talking about it. That's like, I mean, it's like asking somebody, tell me about the best day of your life, So, I mean, yeah, I get asked a lot, but again, it's the best day of my life. It was just one of those cases where I'm still to this day extremely thankful to the man that made it possible, and that's The Undertaker. I lived for 20 plus years with the idea that it was Shane's and Taker's idea. And when I was on Taker's podcast, he corrected me and told me it was my idea. It wasn't Shane. It was my idea. So I'm still thankful. Basically, what Taker did, and for anyone of your fans that are watching that might not understand the wrestling business, in wrestling, the way to build a superstar is by giving them spots, making them look good. We're out there. We're not trying to pull the wool over anyone's eyes. We're not having real fights. So when something happens or when you get pinned, you're allowing it to happen. So when I eliminated Taker, he was allowing me to get that spot. And he was gracious. He didn't have to do it. He could have said, nah, I want someone more established. I want The Rock. I want Stone Cold. I want Hunter to eliminate me. But he gave me that opportunity, which in turn gave me my career.
Is absolutely amazing. And you were just talking about you being on his podcast, which I listened to that earlier just to get ready for this, and it's like my third time listening to this. Yeah, man, I think it is so awesome that you and Taker are still cool and close to this day.
Yeah, Taker's one of those guys that you might not see for a while, but the moment our paths crossed again, it's like no time passed. There's no one in the wrestling business that commands more respect than him, but it's 100% earned. Like, he's truly seen it all. And when my YouTube partner and I were going back and forth about who should make the Mount Rushmore list, he actually brought up Undertaker, and he was like, listen, I think Taker should be on it because he's been there for 30 years with one company. And then I started thinking, and I was like, and he's meant more to guys in the locker room, guys like me, guys he helped give careers to. And once that, you became apparent, it was just obvious. Yeah, he's definitely on the Mount Rushmore.
Hey guys, a big reason why I started the Real Appreciation Podcast was not only for the pun, okay, maybe a little, but it was also as a way to be better. And speaking of being better, I have to thank today's sponsor, Dubby. W is the perfect drink if you're looking for a great energy boost without the crash. You should check out W. For real, it's a clean energy drink that keeps you focused and energized, and it doesn't have any of that junk like sugars or artificial dyes. Seriously, it's got nootropics, vitamins, no sugar, 0 calories, no artificial colors, and no maltodextrin. I've been using it and it's been a game changer for me. Plus, I've got a special deal for you guys. Use my promo code REAL10 to get 10% off your order. Just head over to W's website, pick out your favorite flavors, and enter REAL10 at checkout for your discount. Seriously, give it a try and see the difference. Be better with W. Yes, man. He seems like a wonderful guy, both in and outside of the ring.
Yeah. And it was cool because when I was there, like we had dinner the night before, and then the next day, it was a long day. I met him at his studio at 12 o'clock. And we did his show, and it was from 12 to 2. And then we had a few hours. He was going to interview The Godfather right after me. And then his partner, Matt, was going to pick me up and take me back to Taker's house to film our video. And I think we were supposed to get there around 4. So we probably started filming around, I would say 4:30, probably done around 5:30. And I figured, like, I know when people come over my house, I'm quick to show them the door. Like family or whatever comes over. All right, you've been here 10 whole minutes. There's the door. Thanks. Thanks for coming. Don't make it a habit. But he was so gracious, and we didn't leave until like 11:30 that night.
Wow.
And I'm like, at some point, I'm pinching myself. I'm like, I'm riding around Taker's property on his side by side, and he's showing me his land and showing me like where, because I used to hunt and he's into hunting, and he's showing me where all his targets are set up. And it was completely unexpected. And then on top of that, his family is just amazing. Like Michelle McCool, his wife, and then he's got two kids, and his son's like, Maven, you want to see my room? And I'm like, well, buddy, I don't quite know if your dad wants me running through his house looking at your room. And he's like, you can show it. And his son is, let's just say he's under 5 years old, and I want his shower. His son has the biggest shower for any 5-year-old I've ever seen. I was envious. But it was just, all in all, it was just a great trip to Austin and just an amazing day. Because I'm still a mark for Taker. I still look up to the dead man. I'm happy to call him a friend. I'm happy to have him in my phone. But even with all that, I still have nothing but admiration and respect for the man.
How does it feel to be in the ring with a Hall of Famer like The Undertaker?
Terrifying. Because like, all right, I know if something goes wrong, it's not his fault. He didn't mess up. It's going to be on me. But it's also comforting in the aspect that when I got to the business, I got to wrestling completely different than anyone ever. And, dare I say, I know Rock's, one of his early matches was on a pay-per-view, but I don't know if that was his first match ever. My first match was on SmackDown, on, a televised show. My first match. So as terrifying as that was, as scared as I was, I was comforted by knowing I was in the ring with pros. I wasn't, wrestling in a high school gym with a guy who had about the same experience level as me. So we were going to, make stupid mistakes. Yeah. So I knew they were going to be in the right spots and helping me out all the time. But then that just leads to, well, if somebody F's up, it's me, not them.
Well, speaking of the Hall of Fame, when are you being inducted?
Dude, it's so funny. It's like people always like, yeah, Maven for Hall. It's not gonna happen. Like, and I'm fine with that. Like, I'm 40. I'll be 48 next month, and I'm not gonna lie. Like, it took a while to get to. I was very bitter with the business for a while. But with age comes wisdom, and once I face the fact that I've got less days ahead of me than are behind me.
Right.
Then it's time to just start being okay with where you're at, what you've accomplished, what you've done. And once I let things go, because in the end, you can hold on to bitterness, but in the end, you just got to let them go because all it's doing is hurting me. And once I was able to do that, then I was able to embrace wrestling and my love for not only the wrestling business, but for what I was able to accomplish. Did I have the greatest career? No, hell no. Never. Never be a Hall of Famer. But yeah, I was still in a business at a time when there was about 60 men on the earth that had that job. That's still pretty damn cool.
Well, speaking of the Hall of Fame, when are you being inducted?
Dude, it's so funny. It's like people always like, yeah, Maven for Hall of yeah, it's not gonna happen. Like, and I'm fine with that. Like it's taken, I'm 40, I'll be 48 next month. And I'm not gonna lie, like it took a while to get to, I was very bitter with the business for a while. Um, but with age comes wisdom. And once I face the fact that I've got less days ahead of me than are behind me,
Right.
then it's time to just start being okay with where you're at, what you've accomplished, what you've done. And once I let things go, because in the end, you can hold on to bitterness, but in the end, you just got to let them go because all it's doing is hurting me. And once I was able to do that, then I was able to embrace wrestling and my love for not only the wrestling business, but for what I was able to accomplish. Did I have the greatest career? No, hell no. Never. Never be a Hall of Famer. But yeah, I was still in a business at a time when there was about 60 men on the earth that had that job. That's still pretty damn cool.
Dude, that is so cool to see the gratitude from you, just like so outspoken like that, man. I think it's awesome.
It wasn't overnight. It took time. It wasn't overnight.
But you got there. And that's what I'm saying, man. You got there nonetheless. And something I always tell myself is the only person that I am better than is the person I was yesterday.
Feeling that.
Yes, you can use it. Copyright. I'm just kidding.
Yeah. How about this? I'll quote you on it.
Perfect.
I'd be like, yeah, my buddy David Bennett, he always said. I like that though. And but it's so true
Mhm.
because all these people, and it's one of the things like this has changed the world in so many ways.
Yes.
And I often believe you want to know, I wish kind of that Twitter and all the social media apps, I kind of wish they existed when I was doing my run because I'd have 20 million followers right now
Yes.
because I would have been one of the first ones. I would have had that phone and my face and Randy while we were on the road. But I'm also very happy that it wasn't around during those times. So it's definitely a catch 22. But one of the things I hate about social media and just where the world is now, oftentimes, yeah, we see it with our children. Too many times, people just aren't happy with who they are. They're in steady competition with people that they'll never meet, competition with people who are putting up false fronts about who they are. And it's just so much easier, like you said, being happy and only competing with the person we were yesterday. I like that.
Like you were talking about, I mean, a lot of wrestling fans, but just a lot of people in general can be incredibly toxic. And I think it's just something that we should really just change and love each other, man. I don't have a place in my heart for negativity, and I tell everyone that.
Yeah, I know it's not on my schedule. It's not on
Yeah.
my schedule. And we have and especially with like the political climate, trust me, I'm not going to go into politics. That's one thing. I had a few rules, and fortunately my partner was right there with me. One of the rules I said from day one, we are not getting into politics on my channel. Uh, but there's so many things that just divide us. And if you really like boil it down to what we all as humans and as Americans want, we all want the same thing. We all want the same thing. And so many more things bring us together and link us than that divide us. But unfortunately, the TV and the social media, the sensationalism and bad news is what gets all the headlines. And I mean, it's a flaw in today's society. So I like what you said. And I don't have time in my heart. I don't have time in my day. I don't have time on my schedule for negativity.
That's what I made this podcast about as well. It's literally called Real Appreciation because, like, if I can give you an hour of my day where you can listen to this podcast with either of us and your show as well, and it just blocks out all that negativity, all that negative energy and throws it away, then I did my job and you did yours.
100%. 100%. Another rule I stated when we first started, I said, I'm not going to bury anybody. Even if I didn't like somebody backstage, I might say, hey, we didn't have the best of relationships, but I'm not going to bury anyone just because there's enough of that out there.
Yeah.
There's enough people out there that have shows where they just talk about how horrible everyone on earth is but them. And if that's your goal, if that's what your appetite desires, choose them.
Well, I guess I'll scratch this Maven. I need you to bury Triple H promo here. Hold on. Well, wrestling fans are incredibly passionate and very loyal, as you know, and I'm sure you've had your fair share of interactions with them, probably at airports. What are some of the craziest or most unforgettable fan interactions you've had?
Well, and I mentioned it on one of the videos I did. I got to an airport one time and my bag was late and I was late. And so my ride had to leave. They had to get to the damn show. And so I'm going down and I'm in baggage claim and at the airport, fans are smart. They know, the one place all wrestlers have to go is baggage claim. So they would just post up there and wait to get our autographs. And I got to baggage claim and had about an hour to get to a show, which was an hour away. And a couple fans, I told them, I was like, hey, if you can give me a ride, you got free tickets. And they were all too eager to accept. And it was just an hour of me answering questions along the way. But most of my interactions, and obviously with the channel, I get recognized so much more now. I think probably the craziest one is about 2 weeks ago. I was just in my grocery store and I got asked. Normally, I get asked how, or somebody points at me and they just, yo, man, you look like that guy. But I got asked, are you that guy from YouTube who answers wrestling questions? And I was like, yeah, I guess I am.
How amazing is that, though? Now you're more known. You're honestly more known for that. Like, my girlfriend doesn't really love wrestling too much, but she's like, I've seen him on YouTube, and she's seen all your videos with me.
Thank you. She sounds like she's very smart.
She is. Her name is Katie, so give her a shout out.
Katie, thank you so much. I'm going to assume that Katie is around your age, which means she probably didn't watch me wrestle. So the fact that we're able to reach and touch her and just the fact that she gives me some of her precious time just amazes me. When I have people that tell me, yo, my son's 16, he loves your channel. He didn't watch me wrestle. Last time I was on a WWE television was 2005. Like, I'm not a mathematician, but I'm smart enough to know that was 19 years ago. Like, these people just didn't watch me. So the fact that a platform exists where they can see and hear me talk and give my interpretation. It's just, it's amazing. It's one of those things that makes me grateful with the technology. Again, I can hate social media for some aspects, but I can love it for that reason.
You have shared the ring with some of the biggest names in the industry, but I'm curious to know, Maven, if you had the opportunity to have one more match today and with anyone from WWE or even AEW, who would you want to face?
Obviously, I can put guys like Rock or Austin. I mean, they're obviously the top of the list. But if we're talking about today's business, I love MJF. I think MJF is I think he's gonna revolutionize what it means to be a heel in wrestling. Like, I think he's fantastic because he blurs the lines, and I know him and I know how nice of a guy he is, but most wrestling fans think that's who he is because he does such a good job of portraying that. And I think, he's going today, he's probably one of my favorites.
Greatest heel of all time. I don't care.
No argument here. No argument here.
Right before we started recording this episode, I checked your YouTube channel, and at the time of this recording, you had nearly 500,000 subscribers, 77,222,303 views. How does it feel to be one of the most successful wrestlers turned YouTubers out there today?
It's just nuts. It's just, because I've said it before, I'll say it again. A year and a half ago, 77 million people did not wonder, or even 488,000 people did not wake up wondering what I was doing. So the fact that we've had the growth that we've been able to have, just it blows my mind. I mean, yeah, it's the one thing I didn't see coming.
Yeah.
It's definitely the one thing. I honestly, I was more certain that I was going to win Tough Enough than I was going to have a successful YouTube channel. But now we're in the process now of just trying to figure out what the next chapter of it is going to be. We're starting to see a little bit of a decline. So that just means to me, retool, figure out what's next for the channel.
I've got an idea for you. Can I pitch it?
Please lay it on me.
In the style of Maven's YouTube channel, I'm going to throw out the names of 3 WWE superstars, and I'd love for you to tell me the very first story that comes to mind. No holding back, whatever pops into your head. You want to do it?
Let's do it.
The Undertaker. PG stories.
Yeah. Since we've went through the elimination of the Royal Rumble, I'll take you to a different story. It actually, I talk about it in detail on one of the upcoming videos. At Hunter's bachelor party, let's just say I leave an establishment where we were at, walk out of the establishment, and Devon, who I was riding with, pulls the car up, and standing right next to the car is Hunter and Vince. And as I'm walking to the car, going to avoid those guys because I had some cocktails at this point, Undertaker says, "Hey kid, take a hip toss." And when he said that, I charged him, and he hip tosses me up in the air through Devon's car windshield.
I was not expecting that.
And Devon was not too happy with me. He was not pleased. So that's the funny story I can think of the Undertaker.
Next up, Randy Orton.
One of my best friends when I was on the road, probably about a month after I got released, I get a call. Oh gosh, 1 a.m, and it's Orton. And he's asking me, "What's your address?" And I'm like, "Why?" He's like, "Man, what's your address?" So I'm like, it's, I gave it to him, and I hear in the background, deet, 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 deet. I'm like, "What are you doing?" And he's like, yeah, I just got some time off, so I decided to come visit you. And he is at the airport. Didn't tell me he was coming. Just flew in. Just got a ticket. Went to the airport, got a ticket, and he got a ticket and he decided to fly into an airport there were 3 closer airports than the one he landed at. I was like, dude, you're a good three airports away from where I would have directed you to, but he came and he stayed with me for like 5 days at my house.
Wow.
And it was just weird, just going to the gym, like my home gym, with Randy, because when we're on the road, it's one thing, because we go into all these towns where there's posters and flyers of wrestling's going to be here. But at my home gym, like these people, they don't care I work out there. Like they see me all the time. But they don't see Orton. They don't see Orton. So having him in there, it was just funny having people stare. And I'm telling him, I'm like, man, I'm in here every damn day. They don't care about me.
Finally, Batista.
Same deal. The same gym that I took Randy to. The gym gave me free membership. And they never really gave me a hard time about the membership until they were changing. They bought a new building and were upgrading, and that's when the owner called in her favor. She came to me and she was like, "Listen, I've never asked you for a membership. I love having you work out here." She's like, "With the grand opening of the new facility, can you get a wrestler here?" And I was like, let me ask some guys. And and once I got didn't get offended that she didn't ask me again. I work out there all the time. These people, no one's going to stand in line to come see me when they could just come on Tuesday night at 7 o'clock. But I asked Dave, and Dave said, absolutely. If you can get it okay through the office, then 100%. And I called, and the office said, no problem. Just have security there for him. So I got two guys I knew that were federal probation officers to stand security, and the gym had a line down the block. And to rib me, to play a joke on me, after we left the gym, took Dave. I was like, listen, man, I'm gonna take you. Let's go to Outback Steakhouse. I'm gonna get you whatever you want. And he, got about $100 of food himself. He got
Wow.
2 entrees. He got like two blooming onions. Yeah, it was pretty funny. But free gym membership. I'd say I won.
Let me know if you want me to come on, and we'll do that like professionally.
Yeah, maybe we will. Maybe I'll have you on, and that'll be our segment. And you don't tell me, you don't prep me. You just throw names out.
You got my number.
Keeping it back here, brother.
Every career has its highs and lows, and reflection is something I'm super big on. And it also brings out things we wish we could have done differently. I wanted to ask you, do you have any regrets from your time, whether it's in WWE or with anything in life that you just wish you handled differently?
Plenty. I mean, obviously,
Right.
plenty. If there's one thing I would say, I just wish I would have taken time, and I try to do it now. I wish I would have taken time to just enjoy the journey more than anything. So many times, and I think we all fall prey to it. We're so focused on a destination. We're so focused on an end result. And a lot of times once we get to that ending, once we get to that final destination, we realize the journey itself was the exciting. That was the exciting part. That's where we grew, where we learned, where we got better. I don't miss I don't miss wrestling. I miss the I miss the time in the car.
Yeah.
You know, I don't miss flights, to different towns. I miss the locker room. I miss all the things that led up to wrestling. And I don't know, the older I get, that's the kind of stuff that, I like I think about just the trips I've taken with my YouTube partner. And I don't really remember as much while we're filming the video, but all the prep work that goes to go into it. Or just, like I said, we went to Mount Rushmore, and it was an hour drive just to get there. Just the drive there, getting to know him more, and because we're not talking about videos the whole time. But that's the kind of stuff that, to me, is that's the stuff that stays with me. And obviously, with regrets, I really do wish. Um, I wish I would have tried. I would have been more of myself. I think I'm coming out more of who I am on these videos now.
Yeah.
Whereas back then I was so timid, and I was so terrified. I didn't want to go out and do something, so I did everything letter of the law. But it made me too cookie cutter. It made me too, I don't want to say bland, but just too like everybody else. Whereas if I would have went out and just been what I'm doing now, I think I would have had far greater success.
I gotta ask you this. How are you not signed to a major wrestling company yet?
Who knows? Who knows?
Was there ever a time WWE called you to come back?
Yeah, I talked to them twice after, and the most recently was in 2020 during the pandemic. And well, actually, the day that I was in Orlando and had an interview, and then we found out that day that the world was about to shut down. I take any if the opportunity presents itself, I'm obviously going to listen. But if not, then I'm perfectly content with where I'm at right now. Obviously, open to growing. I got a damn comic book getting ready to come out. Like I never would have dreamed that at 48 I'd have a comic book coming out. So, but I we never know where God's going to place us. We never know what new opportunities are going to come our ways. Again, 2 years ago, I did not have a YouTube channel on my bingo card.
You talk about a comic book coming out. Something else coming out that you have is, listen, man, you're coming into my world. I'm an actor. You're an actor now. Talk about this.
You have nothing to worry about. Trust me. Absolutely no. I'm not. There's no one going to be looking over comp cards and say, well, did we pick Denzel? Well, Rock's available. Ooh, Maven. Let's go with him. That I promise you.
There you go. You were just talking yourself.
It's been fun so far. I mean, it's like I said, obviously it's not a big production, and there's budgetary restrictions. So we're filming here and there, and I mean, I still think I have 2 scenes to film. I still got my death scene left to film, but it's a lot of fun. It's called Days of Sodom, and it's a Crow fan film. I'm having a
Amazing, dude.
blast.
Speaking of death scenes, I can give you some words of advice from my own death scene I did in a movie with. I did a movie with Eric Roberts. It was my own film called Survivor's Choice. I want you to be assured it will all be over soon enough.
Wait, hold up. Where is it?
Prime Video.
Survivor's Choice?
Yeah.
100%. I'm 100% going to pull it up. And
Thank you.
before you get to that, this is what goes to show me that the world's linked, connected. The part I got, guess who they had inked in to play that role before they gave it to me?
Is it Eric?
100%. Isn't that just crazy? Isn't that crazy?
Have you worked with Eric yet?
Never.
Dude, he's so cool. He's one of the kind. Honored to call him a friend. He's fantastic.
I've heard as much. But continue. Tell me about your scene.
I was shooting this movie. Spoiler alert. All right, you've been warned. I get killed in the movie, so I get my throat slit at the end of the movie. We had this latex person. She was amazing, Megan Bradley. And then whenever we're shooting this, I got all the blood. It comes out great. The scene looks good. So then we're about to go home, but I forgot a change of clothes, and I have to get in the car. It's 2 a.m. because we were shooting out of town overnight, and it's not Halloween, so we can't get away with some like effects. I got blood all over me. There's duct tape, trash bags, and rope in the back of the car from a previous scene.
A killer's prerequisites.
My friend Russell's taking me home, and it's like, oh shit, dude, I gotta piss. We gotta go to Sheets. We can't go to Sheets. I'm like, please don't get pulled over. But yeah, that's my story. Just my word of advice to you is bring extra clothes.
Oh, I've already learned when they put this makeup on, and I'll send you a picture of what I looked like. We were doing our first scene, and it was inside of a church, and it was a funeral scene, and I get to work with the main. I'm one of the bad guys, but our main bad guy is Vernon Wells, and like Vernon, I mean, like the first movies I started watching as a child was Commando, and he's the main heel in Commando, and he's in Weird Science, and so I'm like marking out getting to work with him. But they put all this stuff on me, and I'm in a real flashy purple suit standing outside of a church with a gash on my face and in downtown DC, and there's people walking by, and I'm just like, hey, how are you? It looks like I was just like hacked with a katana, and I'm just, yeah, hey, how's it going? So well, I understand.
We were talking earlier about MJF and AEW. I wanted to ask, do you watch AEW?
I don't watch any of the productions. I don't watch any wrestling. I don't watch WWE. I don't watch AEW. It's too tough. It's too hard. Yeah. What was your girlfriend's name?
Katie.
How long have you and Katie been together?
We're about to celebrate 2 years.
Congratulations. That's a good chunk of time. Imagine if all of a sudden Katie decided you weren't right for her, and then wanted you to, go and watch her have dinner with her new boyfriend every Monday night. Would you want to do it?
Not at all.
Exactly. That's why I don't watch wrestling.
No, I get it.
Yeah. And it's funny, like I know my limitations, but I still watch and say, oh man, I could still do that. Knowing I could.
Speaking of AEW, I'd like to take this time to address some beef before we get out of here. Some beef you have with a friend of mine, an enemy of yours, RJ City.
Mr. City. Mr. City.
Mr. City, indeed. I told RJ that you would be coming on this show, and I asked him, do you have any questions or comments for Maven? Here's what he said, and parental discretion advised.
Want my autograph again?
He says, yeah. What's his problem? Care to comment, Maven?
Of course, Mr. City's gonna say that because he's several states away from me. The time I was in front of his face, the time I was where in arm's length, where he could actually do something, where he could use such language in front of me, he didn't. He he his butthole puckered up like that, and hey man, you mind if I take a selfie with you? And just so Mr. City can run his trap from whatever shithole state he lives in, wherever he's at. If he wants to do it to my face, it's not that hard to find.
It is important that we also focus on the self-love aspect of this show when it comes to things like appreciation, as well as what we spoke about earlier with growth. And I know that similar to myself, your life wasn't without its challenges, like whose has been. I'm sure there must have been some tough times. So what would you say was some of the most difficult setbacks you may have faced, and how did you overcome that mentally as well as emotionally?
Yeah, I mean, I think I've faced, I know we've texted a little bit, just, some similarities that we had. In 2012, I had my house, I think, my Katie's home now. I think. In 2012, I had my house foreclosed on. I had to put everything I owned in the back of my truck and leave Florida and come to New Jersey, where I currently live. I had to rebuild my life. And, there's not many people in their mid 30s have to start over. Well, I did. You hear people all the time say they have to start from scratch. I started truly from scratch, and I had to humble myself.
Yeah.
I think the one thing I learned was, and the most difficult thing was truly humbling myself. I mean, I went from being on television with 20 million eyeballs watching me weekly to standing outside of a bar in Manhattan, taking people's IDs and then praying to God they didn't recognize who I was. And it was tough. I'm not gonna say it was easy, because it wasn't. It was so fucking hard. Uh, and there was a time. There was definitely a time where I don't want to say I gave up on myself, because I never gave up on myself.
Yeah.
But I truly doubted myself. And what sucked about it was I knew I had something I knew I had something to give. I knew there was a talent that I just hadn't been able to properly yet. And that's the hardest thing. I think that's, I understand, like, when athletes leave a sport and they know they can still perform, maybe not at the level what they once were at, but I know how difficult it is, because that's exactly how I felt. And, there were a lot of nights driving home from the city that I was just like, how the hell did you let yourself get to this point? And doubting, I wish I would have never done this. I wish I never would have, sometimes I was like, I wish I never even started wrestling, because I blamed everything on my choice to leave school teaching, a very stable career, and take something that was completely as unstable as it gets. But then once I started having a victory, and I would pile one win on top of another, on top of another, I've learned that there's nothing conventional about my life. And in fact, there's no normal life. Somebody tells you they want a normal life, doesn't exist. There's no such thing as a normal life. There's just life, and you get on with it. And the fact that I took the route I took, it's like Robert Frost, me taking that path in the Yellow Wood, that's truly what's made all the difference in my life. And I know if I would have done a more unconventional route, I would not have enjoyed the last 48 years near as much as I have. It's even with the struggles along the way.
Yeah, man, it's like talking to a mirror here with your story, man.
Are you a quote guy?
Yeah.
Well, I love quotes, and I got a good quote just today. I
Okay.
got it. It says, "You're going to suffer through one of two things in life: the pain of the pain of discipline, or the pain of disappointment." And that's just
Perfect. Yeah.
like to discipline ourselves. It's painful. No
Yeah.
one likes getting up, going to the gym at 4 in the morning, or no one likes reading a devotional every morning before they start their day. Or I'm sure people like it, but you have to discipline yourself to get to that. And if you don't, the pain of disappointment, trust me, it's way
Yeah, man, I
worse.
was texting you earlier this week about it, and I'm very open about my stuff because I'm open in the sense of maybe my story can help just one person out there. I don't care. That's all that matters.
Love that about you. Like you said, a mirror. I'm the same way.
I appreciate that, man. I appreciate you a lot, and I tell everyone I'm very appreciative of you. But like, dude, I was going through hell this year alone, less than a year ago, where I was about to lose my home, and I felt so bad for Katie, and I lost my job. I'll be honest, I'm not good at like quote unquote real everyday jobs. I'm good at talking into a microphone and promoting something, but you can't just go online on Indeed and just be like, let me be a podcaster for you, or let me do a radio voice for you. Well, it's not that easy. I even reached out to you like a year and a half ago when I was going through some stuff. It's like, that's what you got to do. And it's the grind. But those are the things that make us, I love the word you used earlier, humble. We have to be humble. It's really easy to get caught up because I was in a similar situation. That movie I told you about, Survivor's Choice, I was in a movie with Eric Roberts, an Academy Award nominated actor. And I know everyone else is, but like, to me that meant a lot. And then but then I start letting things get to my head. And then I have to accept I am no better than the person I was yesterday. And that's where that originates from.
I love though that you aren't afraid to take risks and take chances. You mentioned how you reached out to me.
Mm-hmm.
That time you reached out to me,
Yeah.
it stayed in the back of my head, and it stayed in there all the way to the point to where I reached out to you a few weeks back
I
and
appreciate it.
said, "Hey, when you reached out before, it was just a hectic time. Let's do it now." So you taking that risk led us to this friendship, to this
Yeah.
to this bond right here. And if you would have looked and saw and been like, "Oh, maybe there's no way he's going to say yes. I'm just not going to reach out," we wouldn't be here right now, right
Yeah.
today. And I love that you believed in yourself enough, even during your worst times.
Yeah.
You still knew I have something. I have something to offer. I don't know where it's going to lead, but I know it's not going to lead anywhere if I just stay here on the sideline.
Thank you, man. I've only been doing this podcast for 2 months.
It shows. No, I'm kidding.
Well, all right.
I got to bust your balls a little bit. It's funny because, like, at my job in the city, like, the guys that I'm closest with, like, we just rip on each other
Yeah.
all day. And that's how like, once you're in my inner circle, it's when I bust your balls, and feel free, give it right back.
If I ever come on your channel, busting yours too.
Please do. Please do. But no, that's amazing. And I've followed your success off LinkedIn. And I mean, I brother, I'm celebrating right there with you. You have something to offer, and it's not just that silky smooth voice of yours, but I really believe the world needs more positivity, and you give it. And thank you for that.
As we wind down here, this show is so big on gratitude as well as appreciation, just like I mentioned earlier. And something I learned from a friend of yours and inspiration of mine, Chris Van Vliet, CVV, meet DCB. He always says to apply the practice every day when you wake up and before going to bed to say 3 things you're grateful for. And I know you've answered this already on his show, but I like to pay homage with every episode of this by paying homage to Chris himself by asking, what are 3 things in your life that at this time you're grateful for right now?
Well, obviously, new friends. I always say the same thing because it's I think it's a constant. New opportunities. I got to host last week. I got to host the ultimate dash for the Maine lottery. That was actually the Maine Vermont New Hampshire lottery,
Cool.
and that was an opportunity that fell in my lap from a buddy of mine, Todd Newton. So just new friends, new new opportunities, and just if anything, the thing I'm probably just the most grateful for is just constantly believing in myself that I can always be better. Yeah,
Amazing.
because
Mm.
because there's been times when I haven't felt that, and it's tough to look at yourself in the mirror. So
I
yeah.
appreciate that, man. Where can people find you online?
Ah, it's very simple. I'm not going to give 100 things. Go to YouTube or Instagram, Maven Huffman, or I think Maven K Huffman is the technical place. But if you do Maven, Maven Huffman, Huffman, they will find me. Click. I never say it. Click, like, and subscribe.
Oh, I know you hate saying that.
I do. I just don't like asking people for stuff.
I'll do it for you. Please like and subscribe to Maven's YouTube channel. He's crushing it. He's killing it each and every single week. He's going to continue to do so. His last episode, you just talked about Mount Rushmore. It was amazing. His Mount Rushmore of wrestling. You said you even went to Mount Rushmore, right?
Oh yeah. We filmed it. We filmed the Mount Rushmore of wrestling at Mount Rushmore. Like, who does that?
It doesn't get any better than that. Man, thank you again for your time, brother.
Bro, it's my pleasure. This won't be our last time.
Please, man, I had a lot of fun. I don't want this to be the end. You know how many times you talk to people and like, oh, we're gonna do this again, and we just never talk again.
It's that person that you see that you haven't seen, and you're like, we gotta have dinner sometime.
Yeah.
Knowing dinner's never gonna happen, but we will. We definitely will. I promise you that.
I hope so, brother. Thank you so much.
My pleasure, David. My pleasure. And you keep killing it too.